Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC 289, Nunes versus Aldana. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we got in the women's strawweight division, we got Diana Belbita versus Maria Oliveira, and how I feel about this one right here. Low confidence Maria Oliveira is how I feel about this one right here. And it's really not a whole lot you can really break down about this fight. Well, not a whole lot I can or really care to break down about this fight. I just feel like this is a very low level MMA fight, probably about as low as you can get in the UFC. And I think it's going to come down to who wants it more. I think Maria Oliveira got a little bit better steam behind her right now. I think she'll be able to outwork Belbita, but regardless, I think it's going to be one of these close, ugly, split decision type fights that, it's just going to be close. And if you put any money on this either side, you can't be mad how this fight ends, is all I'm saying. So probably best bet decision here. Like regardless, general decision or overs in decision, probably good here. I don't think either of these women get in the finish. And I just think Oliveira probably going to land more. Belbita probably going to try to mix it up more, but Oliveira probably just going to land more. Neither one landed really anything significant, but again, Oliveira landing just a little bit more. Nothing about either woman really significant, but they're going to count them as significant strikes by their standards. And yeah, Maria Oliveira just landing overall more strikes in a close, ugly fight. So in this one, I have Maria Oliveira via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the flyweight division, we got David Dvorak versus Steve Ursch. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence David Dvorak to beat Steve Ursch. I think Ursch's an okay fighter. I think he has a good base, good general skills. Like, he got decent striking, decent grappling, decent ring awareness at the level that he has for that. Obviously you could start, this is, you get in the UFC, you build yourself up, but this is not the easiest path to get in the UFC. Dvorak's a pretty solid dude. That's for some of the better guys in the weight class and had some time to develop. I mean, in the UFC, whereas Ursch, he's not coming through the contender series, which will be good for him. He's not coming in and getting like a guy that's like also debuting. He's not getting a guy that's look like he's about to be cut from the UFC. So it's really not the best fight for him. I think Ursch can have decent potential to be, I guess, stick around in the UFC. I'm not saying he looks phenomenal or anything. He does not at all, in my opinion. But he does look like he at least have skills to, stick around in the UFC and probably be like 500 in the UFC, maybe like trading wins and losses, but be able to give a good account for himself in fights. That's where I see his potential is. But yeah, but this is not the best starting fight for him. I just think Dvorak can match him everywhere, and I think overall, I would say roughly he's better than him everywhere, especially when you add in the experience and the level of competition that he has fought and beaten. Whereas Ursch, you can't really even point to anything where you say, oh, he fought decent competition, or even against the mediocre competition that he has fought. It's not like he has done anything that was so phenomenal, like shown a phenomenal knockout power, has shown phenomenal technique. He looked about as good as you should look, but nothing beyond that against the level of competition he was fighting. And again, I think David Dvorak is a smart fighter. I think Ursch is a smart fighter, but Dvorak has shown his skills at a higher level and has performed at a higher level. And I'm gonna favor that every time against Ursch. Unless Ursch actually look phenomenal or has some phenomenal background, which he does not have. I got to go David Dvorak here all day. Got him by a decision victory here. And I think he's simply gonna be better in every area, and the experience is definitely gonna help him be better in every area and make the adjustments that I don't think Ursch will be able to make, especially, again, not having fought the level of competition that Dvorak has fought and beaten. So in this one, I have David Dvorak via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division. We got Blake Bilder versus Kyle Nelson. And how I feel about this one right here is Kyle Nelson actually was submitted, I think early on in his UFC career. Not early in his MMA career, but early on in his UFC career by a guy that's not the best grappler or not the greatest or most notable grappler. And that's a little bit in the past, but still I'm gonna kind of reference this a little bit. But ultimately I think Blake Bilder is the better fighter overall, and I think he has the better momentum right now. I think the biggest gap between them is the grappling advantage that Blake Bilder will have. I don't like Blake Bilder's offensive takedowns, but I feel, if he mixes in his strikes well, and, he's getting a little bit more comfortable on the feet, which will help him be able to gain the respect of Kyle Nelson on the feet, maybe touch him with some shots. But obviously I don't want him to, or me personally, I'm picking him, I don't want him to engage on the feet too much, because I feel that gives Kyle Nelson his best opportunity to get in this fight, win this fight, potentially knock Bilder out. But I'm also not saying that Nelson is necessarily the better striker. I'm not saying that either. But I feel that's Kyle Nelson's best chances on the feet. But ultimately, I think Blake Bilder will be able to gain his respect on the feet, and that will set up his shots. And then from there, I think in the first round, he kind of gets him down late, is not able to finish it or to really start to work in that first round. And then I think in the second round, I think he's able to get the takedown earlier in the round, have more time to work. And I think he's able to get him out and tap him out, I think, somewhere around 2-3 minutes into that second round. So in this one, I have Blake Builder via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Iman Zahabi versus Quilling. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going average confidence, Iman Zahabi to beat Quilling. With Quilling in this style matchup right here, I think Zahabi is just the better overall fighter in my opinion. When I look at Quilling, I don't know if he's still the favorite right now, but he was at one point he was not decent, he was like a minus 120, minus 140, I think was the highest. Now I think it was kind of getting near pick him. I don't know if it's at pick him or if he shifted to the dog now, but whatever the case is, I'm not really, this is a prediction. This ain't no, oh, here's the odds this, here's the odds that. Because of this odds, I'm picking this person. Nah, this is how I generally feel about the fight. And this ain't about odds. If it happened to be favored this, happy favorite that, shift this, shift that way, it is what it is. But this is how I generally feel about the fight. And not, again, if maybe it's such a close fight, then I'll say it's a close fight. Hey, go with the dog. It's close enough to do, somebody gonna win this fight. I don't know. It's so close, then I'll go with dog. But generally, like 99.9% of the times, these are predictions are not based off of anything odds-wise. It's based off like who do I really think gonna win and why they gonna win. I mean, yeah, when I look at this one, I already made a quick pick, so I'm gonna shorten this up a little bit. And I already been talking too long about this one prediction. But anyway, with Quilling, I just see him as a zombie that's come forward. And I think Iman Zahabi is skilled enough to be able to stick and move and take advantage of a coming forward punching bag. A coming forward punching bag that is, well, okay power is not what has been the issue for Zahabi. I think Zahabi should do well against this style. He also just beat Ricky Tercios, who basically a coming forward zombie. Not as much power, but a coming forward zombie like fighter. And Quilling is a lesser version of that, but maybe with a little bit more power. I think Iman Zahabi should be able to coast to a decision, just outstrike him and just avoid the big shots and outstrike him. Maybe even mixing some grappling there. Might be able to finish him on the ground, to be honest. Quilling just not really a good fighter in my honest opinion. So, and this is why I think Iman Zahabi is going to take advantage of Quilling choosing to be a willing punching bag and a willing, straightforward walking zombie, one-track minded zombie. So in this one, I have Iman Zahabi via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Jasmine versus Miranda Maverick. And I got Miranda Maverick average confidence to beat Jasmine. I think the issue with this one for Maverick is the fact that Jasmine does, at least at right now, have a pretty solid ratio as far as takedown defense ratio. It was like, I think like 73%, which can be an issue for Miranda Maverick. And I know a lot of people like to slice Miranda Maverick up for whatever reason. I think she still got some fans or like some delusional fans. I'm not going to say like, it's not, she shouldn't have fans or anything like that. She should have plenty of fans. Have a million fans. She wants to have it. But it's some people in the MMA community, like the MMA community, a little bit, why my words vibrating. There are some people still in the MMA community that feel like Miranda Maverick is like championship material or that her striking is this and this striking is that. In reality, the moment I saw her fight, like this chick striking is sloppy. And they were thinking like, oh, her striking is good. Her striking has always been sloppy and is still sloppy. She gets by on it, but also their MMA, you got to recognize that she is a takedown and like, you know, primarily she's a grappler. She might like to strike a little bit. And also it's not like the level of competition she's fighting in MMA have the best striking typically. And when she did fight a fighter with Blanchfield who had cleaner striking, Blanchfield tooled her up. So yeah, anyway, close fight. It could be, I could see this being a close fight because of Jasmine takedown defense and Maverick not having the most technical striking, and neither of them being the most technical striker. So I can see if she can stuff some of her takedowns, this could be a very close fight. But ultimately, I think Maverick will be able to outwork Jasmine on the feet and on the ground, and you know, combining the arts. So striking, wrestling, chain wrestling, grappling. I think that's what she'll be able to divide, you know, separate from Jasmine on the scorecards and get her hand raised. But that does leave some concerns because, again, I just don't feel Maverick is the greatest fighter. I'm not saying she's a bad fighter. I think she's good, but she's not great. And if you could take away her wrestling, and are you not as concerned about her wrestling, then you open her up to show that her striking is not, you know, is very sloppy. And that if you're going to have to rely on her striking, this could easily be an upset fight. So that's all I'm saying. That's why it's average confidence. But anyway, so in this one, I have Miranda Maverick via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we have Nasruddin Imavov versus Chris Curtis. And how I feel about this one, I said, how I feel about this one, let me see. How I feel about this fight right here between Curtis and Imavov. So yeah, in this one, I have Nasruddin Imavov average confidence to beat Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis definitely is a fighter that's good for upsets, especially against me when I'm picking against him. But like, he's definitely good for the upset. He definitely has the power. He definitely has the skills. But I'm gonna go to my MO when I do pick against Curtis, and he usually up like decides to get up for an opponent or whatnot and pull off the victory. But yeah, with this one, I think Imavov's a very big dude. He like 6'3". He's long. He's active. It's 3 rounds, so that's good for him. It's not a 5-round fight, so it's 3 rounds. He's big. He's long. He's light on his feet. He could mix up the shots. He could put up some volume. He's well-rounded. Obviously, I don't expect him to try to wrestle Curtis, but what I think he can do is fight from the outside and really avoid the counters from Curtis. And also, Imavov's not a guy that has necessarily had been shinny. I don't think he's been knocked out yet, been really hurt like that yet in his career. Still young enough, so he's not a guy that's had a career. Oh, he's a glass chin fighter. Oh, he's been knocked out his last 2 fights, or he's been knocked out. Like I'm saying, he hasn't been proven to not be Dory. He hasn't been proven to be chinny. He hasn't been knocked out or anything yet, so that's a good sign for him. So I feel like he could take the power of Curtis when necessary, if not at all. So if necessary, I feel he can wear the power of Curtis on his chin. Or if necessary, I'm not banking on that. That's not a good name strategy for anyone. Even if you have 110 chin, relying on your chin is never a good thing. I'm saying if he does have to, it seems he has a pretty good beard on him, is all I'm gonna say. And he can put a volume and outwork Chris Curtis, who generally pretty much has a low output in general. Like, he's not a guy that's ever shown high output like that in any of his fights, or at least none to my recollection. So I thought Imavov can outwork him and just avoid getting knocked out or, be able to handle the power of Curtis, the counters of Curtis, and be able to outwork Curtis. And I think he should be able to beat Chris Curtis in a decision victory. So in this one, I have Nasruddin Imavov via decision. Now to our next fight, we have our first fight on the main card in the middleweight division. We got Eric Anders versus Marc-Andre Barreto. And how I feel about this one, I believe I said low confidence, but yeah, I'm gonna stick. I don't know what I said on my quick pick at this point. I know I picked Barreto, but I don't know if it's low or average. But right now I'm feeling low, so hey, y'all got a more updated prediction. I'm going low confidence Marc-Andre Barreto to beat Eric Anders. And with this one, I really kind of go back to the Jocko fight and maybe another fight. I think it was the most Jocko fight where Anders was just looking for that one big shot and wasn't able to find it, and Jocko was just just being a more technical fighter, and Anders wasn't able to cut him off, and just struggling to deal with a more technical striker. So I feel this one, I think Barreto is the more technical striker, more technical fighter. But I do think Anders is the more lethal fighter, more knockout power, more finishing ability. Whereas Barreto is typically like a slow cooker, like he'll just outwork you, grind you down, then maybe finish you or just pick you apart once you get tired. I combined it fatigue and tired. Once you get fatigued, once you get tired, then maybe he finish you. But he's typically not that guy that's going to blitzkrieg you. And what's it, blitzkrieg? I don't know. What am I saying right now? My mind is just, my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yeah. But now I'm canceled. But anyway, yeah, Marc-Andre Barreto versus Eric Anders. Yeah. To sum it up, I just think Barreto's just a more well-rounded fighter. I think he's a little bit more polished in his striking, where I feel like Anders kind of a lot of times he's looking for that big overhand, that big right hand. And that's really all he got. He ain't really got no jab. He kind of stiff. He's strong physically. Obviously, was this D1 athlete, I think national champion football player and whatnot, or at least on a national champion football team. Yeah, national championship winning football team. So, college football team. So the dude was a athletic specimen and all. But I think as far as a fighter, he's definitely, showed the fact that he was a guy who had a late start to MMA and fighting and stuff, or at least professional fighting, martial arts and stuff. So he's a bit stiff and a little bit limited. Like, he's good with what he has, but I feel against a guy like Barreto, who's much more seasoned, much more developed, and more technical. I feel he can avoid the big power of Anders, and then like as the fight goes on, and start to break away from him on the total strikes and probably win that second, third, or at least that second half of the second round, then win the third round and just outwork Anders. Maybe coming close to hurting him finishing. But Anders has shown to be pretty tough. I can't really think of too many people that have finished Anders. Anders is a very tough game opponent, so likely going to a decision. I'm going Marc-Andre Barreto. So in this one, I have Marc-Andre Barreto via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, we got Dan Ige versus Nate Landwehr. And how I see this one right here is I'm going to average confidence Dan Ige to beat Nate Landwehr. And how I feel about this one right here, I feel like Nate Landwehr could push a good style for Dan Ige, but I do think the fact that Landwehr is so willing to bang a lot of times, willing to let his hand. Matter of fact, a lot of times his defense just don't be there. I feel like it's been like these random fights where out of nowhere you start to show decent boxing defense. Then you like in the very next fight, where his defense go? So it's like he has it in his arsenal, but he's one of those guys that is willing to stand there and bang a lot of time, leave a chin out hanging, be squared up, and just like letting it rip. And I feel like against Ig, that could be a big issue. And also, I don't feel like Landwehr has the best opportunity to finish Ig either. Ig has fought a lot of very good guys, a lot of elite fighters, a lot of guys that I think even went on to fight for titles or fight for #1 contenders and such. Like, he's been in there, beat a lot of good guys, fought a lot of good guys. And Ig's chin has held up pretty well, so he hasn't been finished, not to my recollection, in the UFC. So the guy has fought like over 10 fights and fought some real good guys. Calvin Cater, just want to name Josh Emmett. And he took Josh Emmett's best shot. And Emmett, one thing you could say about him, you could say he's not this, he's not that, but Josh Emmett does have some heat on him. He did get dropped by Emmett, but he popped right back up and, traded him. And at one point had Emmett curving up like from his power. So he got a chin on him. That's what I'm going to say about Ig. So I don't feel like Landwehr's going to finish him. I feel like Ig's the more technical striker, more technical grappler. And he got a chin on him. I feel his chin's better than Landwehr's. And I'm going to lean like a second round, club and sub for Dan Ig in the second round. So, like, I feel they're going to scrap. Landwehr probably going to be doing a little bit more volume, but Ig doing a little bit more heat. Landwehr probably going to be, feeling himself a little bit, probably get a little bit overconfident, even though it's a close fight. And maybe start talking trash. And the moment he opens his mouth, probably get cracked, get his jaw broke. And while he's rocked and trying to recover, I think Ig probably going to snap on a guillotine and put him to sleep second round. So in this one, I got Dan Ig via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, we got Mike Mallett versus Adam Fugit. And how I feel about this one right here is I'm going to average confidence. Mike Mallett or Mike Mayotte. I'm going to say Mike Mallett. That just rolls off my tongue better. Mike Mallett versus Adam Fugit. Yeah. Going average confidence, Mike Mallett to beat Adam Fugit. And I just feel like Mike Mallett's just the better overall fighter. I feel like he's the better striker. I feel like he's more durable. I feel like he has more power. I feel like he's a more technical wrestler, more technical grappler. And unlike Fugit's last fight, he won't be able to just mix it up his wrestling to get out of the, to get the steam of his opponent's punches and pressure off. Like, with Kinoshita was just putting the pressure on him early and had him on the back foot. And, to really get himself off his back of the cage, it was largely his wrestling that, was able to get him that space that he wanted. And really also wear down Kinoshita and also give Kinoshita something else to think about. Whereas in this fight with an experienced guy like Mayotte has been in major organizations longer than Kinoshita has been fighting MMA. So, you got a guy that's been in what was he fighting? World Series of Fighting, at least as far as I could think back in 2015. So that alone shows the guy been in the game a very long time or a good amount of time. So you've been fighting for 10 years or more. The guy's experienced. He's not no young. I mean, he's young, but he's not no greenhorn. So he's well-rounded. I think he's in the best spot of his career. And I think he's the better fighter right now and better overall fighter. So I just feel like he's going to be able to put the same pressure on Fugit. And Fugit won't be able to go to his wrestling or go to his grappling. If he does go to that, again, Mayotte. But yeah, Mayotte I feel is better grappler, better wrestler between the two. So I feel he's going to be able to put that pressure on him, probably crack him, hurt him, make him panic wrestle, and then tap him out, and I'm going to say in the first round. So in this one, I have Mike Mayotte via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event, in the lightweight division, we got Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. So we got the former lightweight champion, Charles Oliveira, versus Beneil Dariush, the long-time underrated fighter. And you can say the same about both guys. Both guys were very underrated for a long time. And then Charles Oliveira eventually was able to connect the wins together, start winning the big ones. He was always able to connect wins together, going like 6-fight winning streaks, 5-fight winning streaks, looked like a killer. But then, when it mattered, or when it mattered most, seemed like he always choked, or got finished, or came up short. But then eventually he just started to click. He turned to gold hair, or Super Saiyan Charles Oliveira, and then he went all the way, won the belt, defended it twice, but didn't make wait one time. So only officially one defense, but still champion, defending champion. Something McGregor could never say at any point in his career. But anyway, God did that. So he overcame it. Now Dariush is trying to do something similar. He's trying to get past Oliveira to get to a title shot, and finally make it to the top of the mountain. So two guys with parallels. But I'm going average confidence Charles Oliveira here. I feel like this fight it's too easy to just lean to Dariush. Like, not to say that I'm only leaning this way because it's the contrarian thing to do, but I've seen both of these guys fight plenty of times. Both of you guys have fought a lot of fights, been in the UFC a long time. Both experienced veterans. I've seen them win, I've seen them lose. And I think Beneil Dariush's offensive wrestling is all that phenomenal. So I don't feel like he could just take down Oliveira at will. On the feet, and my honest opinion, I feel like Charles Oliveira is the better striker, or at least the more lethal striker. I feel like Dariush can be a very good striker for the most part, but he's not really necessarily a big finisher on the feet. Whereas Oliveira is a finisher on the feet, a finisher on the ground, and in both ways, on the feet and on the ground, he can finish you in multiple ways. Dariush on the ground for the most part, unless you like just not on his level for the most part, is kind of like a decision person for the most part. But let me stop saying it. Let me even get off the decision point. Definitely, as far as on the feet, he's not that big of a finisher. On the ground, he does have multiple ways to finish you. But on the feet, he hasn't really been that much of a finisher. You could say, oh, he knocked down Matus Gamrot. He was so technical as Matus Gamrot. But it's a style match when you really think about it. Yes, I picked Gamrot in that one. But when you think about it, Gamrot's not really a good striker like that. He's okay. He's all right. He's a passable striker on the feet. He's a cardio wrestler, cardio grappler. And Dariush is with like a red belt, red belt, or like a black belt with 2 red stripes. So he's a solid grappler. So he was able to negate the grappling. And Dariush is a better striker clearly than Matus Gamrot, as that's shown. So dropping Gamrot ain't no big thing. Gamrot low key, high key chinny, while Oliveira is too. So anyway, but my prediction kind of go all over the place. But to try to come to a conclusion with this one is, I feel like Oliveira has shown more finishing ability on the feet, and Dariush has shown to be a chinny guy. And I think both guys have technical flaws on the feet, like they get open. But I think Dariush more than Oliveira gets very sloppy on the feet at times. When he starts to look at the Jakar close fight, that fight was harder than it should be. Harder than it should be. Then you look at who he lost to? He lost to the guy. I would say who I'm talking about. He lost to Ramsey Ninja. I think that was like a first round knockout. I think he got dropped twice, then put to sleep. Michael Chiesa, he was looking good, just picking apart Chiesa. Now he got a little over aggressive, started to get sloppy, which is a bad tendency of his. When the fight starts to get real intense, he starts to go back to an amateur on the feet. That's what I would say about Oliveira. Like, if fight starts getting intense, he goes back almost to an amateur. Ramsey Ninja, Michael Chiesa was looking good. He was looking good against Michael Chiesa until he got caught, and then like he got rocked, and then he got subs. That was how the Michael Chiesa fight. That's literally how it went. And then Edson Barboza fight, looking real good. Actually was out striking Edson Barboza. And then he got caught in the tendency of like leaning over and reaching, which I think somebody said in one of their breakdowns, like that's actually a good thing for him. Like he can reach very long and initiate grappling with his loopy punches and then throw a loopy punch and reach. And he got knocked out for that same tendency. Like he tried to throw a loopy punch and then extend with his chin out, and he got hit with a split second flying knee by Edson Barboza. And who else he got knocked out? Again, a quick knockout by Alexander Hernandez. That made Alexander Hernandez a top 10 fighter because of Dariush, off the coattails of Dariush. And his tendency of, having some technical flaws. He don't do well early. He don't do well when pushed back a lot of times. And as the fight goes on, it's not like it has to go on 3 rounds or 5 rounds. It could be a tense first round. Matter of fact, when the fight starts getting intense, he starts to get sloppy. Like, he starts to really exert himself. He starts to get out of his technical, he starts to leave his technique, outside and just get sloppy. And Oliveira, I feel like Oliveira, he always fights the same. Like, he has his technical flaws. He's so upright, but it's never like Oliveira just goes out and just gets sloppy necessarily. Like, it's just, that's how Oliveira always is. Those same weaknesses are always there, but he never really gets outside himself. Where I would say Dariush clearly gets outside of himself. And that's how I see this fighting. Dariush will probably look good early, probably doing good body kicks. Good body kick, good leg kicks, with some good steam on him. Mixing the shots well, looking good, looking smooth, looking sleek and all that stuff. But Oliveira staying game, probably trying to apply that floor, like I said, Floyd Mayweather pressure, trying to apply that forward pressure, probably doing some teeps to his body, trying to get him to clinch. Maybe when Dariush is overextended, maybe trying to get him in a Muay Thai plum. Again, he falls a lot, falls over when he does a lot of his shots a lot of times. And maybe Oliveira tries to exploit that, get him to a clinch, knees to the body, land some elbows. But Dariush is able to disengage from the clinch and go back to distance, doing kicks and stuff. And maybe when Oliveira tries to pressure, maybe avoid a flying knee and try to secure a takedown off that. I'm just visualizing the whole fight. But either way, I think it'll be a very close fight. Maybe a Dariush early first round. Wins the first round, but a close but competitive first round. But Dariush edging that in momentum, seeming like it's going his way. Then second round, the fight starts to get a little more intense. They both start on with a little bit more heat. Then I think Dariush starts to get a little bit sloppy, as he typically does on the feet. Then in that moment, I think Charles Oliveira is able to catch him like a short elbow, get him in the clinch, whether it be in the clinch or an intercepting elbow. It's gonna be like a short elbow, gonna have Dariush hurt. And then I think probably wobble, drop, and I think he's gonna pop back up, but still be on shaky legs. And Oliveira's gonna be able to pressure him against the cage, start to tee off on him, probably flying, like not flying knees, but like little stepping knees to the body, kicks, more elbows. have him hurt and wobble. He can probably gonna try to hit a sweep off his back once he gets dropped to his back. Probably gonna try to pull guard and try to hit a sweep. But then I think Oliveira's gonna probably be able to step over, scramble, snap on a guillotine, and choke him out second round. So in this one, I have Charles Oliveira via second round submission. Now to our main event. Is it a main or main? So now to our main event, we have in the women's bantamweight division for the undisputed bantamweight championship or women's bantamweight championship between Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana. And how I feel about this one right here, I'm going high confidence Amanda Nunes to beat Irene Aldana. I think Irene Aldana is a solid fighter, but she has definitely shown the tendency to be bullied. She has shown the ability to be able to be taken down, controlled, work against the cage. And I feel like that's a very... All right, I didn't need to hear that ESPN sound, but hey, this video is sponsored by ESPN now. Not really, but hey, y'all want to give me some money? It is what it is. But anywho, Amanda Nunes, yeah, I feel like Amanda Nunes is the overall better fighter. I feel really the biggest issue for Nunes here is just to not get too caught up in the striking. Even though if she can win that way, I feel her best path to victory is to wrestle and grapple her, and it's very much a winnable path against Irene Aldana, who has been grappled up and walled and stalled by much lesser competition. So I think Amanda Nunes should be able to probably mix up the striking a little bit. It's getting her respect enough to show her some power a little bit, just a little bit. Don't really overcommit, which can leave you open to a counter and then another upset on her record. But just a little bit. Just show her a little bit of that power. Show her a little bit of pressure. Probably, yeah, definitely some leg kicks as well. You got to box her, kick her leg up, like destroy that lead leg, inside, outside, teeps, do whatever case. But yeah, mostly inside, outside leg kicks, and just put her on the back foot, work her against the cage, level change, scoop her off the cage, and then like this controller. I think she's definitely good at finish. She definitely could get a finish over Aldana, whether it be TKO or sub. I'm going to lean to a decision victory here. I feel like Nunes is going to play it very safe. She's going to conserve her gas tank. And it's really just, she just really drop the shots on Aldana. Not even the most heavy shots. She's going to have her moments where she's going to posture up and land some big ground and pound. But mostly she was going to focus on control and just conserving her cardio. And Aldana's going to be tough. Going to have a bust up face, lip bleeding and whatnot. Red, face will be real red. She's going to have a headache for like a whole week, but she's gonna be tough in game and be able to be defensive on the ground enough to not get tapped out, and going to be able to pull guard or get back to guard or be able to defend herself well enough that she does not get finished, or at least at the level that Nunes is not overcommitting or really pursuing the finish. She's gonna try to if the finish presents itself, Nunes will go for it, but if it's not presenting itself, Nunes is just gonna keep getting those free shots on her and just maintaining the position. So that's what I see in this fight. I don't see the most exciting fight. I feel like it's going to look more like the second Durandamy fight for Nunes. Like she just not really trying to engage in the striking too much and just going the safer route and just grinding out a decision. As long as her opponent is not giving up, like Aldana not just giving up a neck or something, or giving up a limb, or just curling up and letting the ref just pull Nunes off her. So I feel Aldana going to be game. She's going to have that fire in her blood for 5 rounds, but she's not going to be in a position to really use that fire. She's going to be on her back, just showing heart. Now, that's what I see is the large majority of this fight. So, in this one, I have Amanda Nunes via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the 4-card fights for UFC 289, Nunes versus Aldana. And as always, thanks for watching.